You feel better?
Everybody. Patrick, are we streaming?
We are not streaming on Facebook. We were streaming on YouTube and we're trying to get that going again.
Okay. I wanted to ask a question, but I didn't want to do it if we were streaming.
Okay.
I have a girlfriend. No, this is actually probably directed at Helen. Not that everybody else can't come along if they want to, but I have a girlfriend who I used to work with.
We are live on YouTube now.
Oh, we're live. Okay, well then I'll send Helen a text.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
Okay. So Edmund, you're muted. Can you hold up a picture of your new granddaughter? You got to unmute.
I can do that. Let me see.
Let's see if we can see a picture of her.
Okay.
Is your daughter doing okay?
Both moms are doing fine, and all the grandparents are doing fine.
Oh,
There we
what a
go.
cutie.
A little bit better. And got that one this morning. And I have another favorite that came in yesterday. Daily updates, of course,
Yeah.
multiple daily.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lordy.
Tiny, tiny baby.
Oh yeah. Oh, super precious.
yeah. You know, I met with Patrick yesterday. I ran into the library to meet with him so we could go over the director review. And I brought him pictures of my granddaughters, step-granddaughters, locked in their safe room in Israel. So it was a whole different set of pictures. Yeah, it's been a tough couple of days for them. They live
Yeah.
in an area outside of Tel Aviv, and but when the sirens go off, they have to go into the safe room in their apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And so my oldest stepdaughter sent pictures of her and the kids in the safe room.
Yeah. We're doing fine, Grandma.
You know, it's so funny because when Rick and I first started going out, I don't remember what year the very first Gulf War was, but when Saddam Hussein was lobbing rockets into Israel, Rick called over there to talk to his youngest daughter, and she says to him, "Daddy, you woke me up. I have to go to school tomorrow." Like, Rick's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine. I need to sleep." So it's a little bit different now because the rockets are coming in a little bit closer, but they seem to be doing okay.
Mhm.
It is what it is.
Thanks.
So
Big noise. Big noises.
yeah, apparently was really, really loud.
part of life for them.
Yeah.
Some of my sister was an Army wife, and she and her 5 kids and her husband were in Germany, and there were some terrorist activities at the time. And when we called one time, we asked the oldest grandkid, well, how's security out there? They said, hey, we're absolutely fine, no problem. We've got double the MP security all around us. So the more we have, the better.
Yeah, my oldest granddaughter, whose name is Yahel, was at school at the time, and her grandmother had to go pick her up and bring her back to the house. And yesterday was her birthday. So when her mother said to her, "How was your birthday?" she said it was a blast.
Take that.
You should do what you gotta do.
Okay, we're at, we're past 5:15. We have a quorum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I believe that Dorothy, are you there? We have someone showing up as 691-264.
Welcome.
Dorothy?
Both Stacy Clay and Gerald let us know that they would not be here tonight. They're both at a school board presentation. Gerald is receiving an award from the school board.
Oh, how nice.
So do we need Dorothy to get in? Do you want me to call her, Patrick, or do you want to call? Because if she's 691-264, either she's muted or
Okay.
Because that would only.
We've got 1, 2, 3.
I mean, do I count as part of the quorum?
Yeah, we've got a quorum with 5. Yeah.
All right.
But I'll call Dorothy.
Okay. Well, while he's doing that, I'm going to go
Did
ahead
we-
and call the meeting to order. We have a fairly
Or is
lengthy
that
agenda. to
Latrice?
get
Is that
through.
you?
It's Dorothy. Can you hear me?
Oh, hey, Dorothy.
Oh,
Okay.
now we
Hi.
can.
Okay.
Hi, Dorothy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We have a fairly lengthy agenda. Representative Clay will not be here and Gerald will not be here because there's an event for the school board that they're both attending tonight. So it is 5:19. Today is May 12th. Erin, do you want to do a roll call?
Yes, I would like to do a roll call. Joan Greco Cohen,
Here.
Dorothy Davis,
Here.
Aaron Ginsberg, I'm here. Gerald Lander is not here. Latrice Johnson is not here. Edmund Acosta,
Here.
Helen Nelling.
Here.
I don't see Michael Hart. And Cindy Zerwis.
Present.
Okay, and
Pat,
Kathleen and Cindy, thank you for being here as well. And we are lucky to also have Sue from Bond Architects here joining us. Thank you, Sue.
Patrick, do we know where Latrice and Mike are?
He did not contact Latrice by text this week, so that was my fault. I haven't heard from Mike at all.
Okay. Okay, and as Erin said, we have Sue from Bond Architects, so we're going to get through the first part of this fairly quickly so that Sue can present the stuff that we had already gone over at the meeting before the board meeting. So did everybody have a chance to look through the minutes?
I'll put them online. Does anyone need me to share those here?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay,
I make a move that
I
we,
make a motion. We accept.
Second.
If Aaron made the motion, then I okay.
No. I defer to you, Helen.
Okay, I made the
Okay.
motion and I believe Edmund seconded it. Done.
Okay. Everybody in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we don't have a council liaison report. Patrick, what is the presentation from the community member?
That is left over. I should have taken that out. Sorry about that.
All right, so we'll
That
X
was,
that out. And do you have a librarian's report then?
I do. Just jumping back up to correspondence. It was not correspondence, but a patron offered to write something. She kind of came running up to me and was pointing and standing close, and I thought it was going to be an angry comment, but she just wanted to tell me what an excellent job our children's librarian, Erin, had done in helping her find a whole bunch of books and recommending a bunch of titles, and she was very happy.
Yay.
And it was good.
Yay.
Kathleen, what other likewise sort of things that we had? I know I heard from somebody who's talked about being on the board a couple times, wanting to thank the staff and the library board for all we've done during the pandemic, and he thought it was a real lifeline. So,
Great.
and then librarian's report. Is there anything anyone wanted to pull out of the consent agenda? Other than, I put in bold so I wouldn't forget, the library, the Memorial Day run has expanded, and we do now need some volunteers. Cindy's volunteered already, and I've got her t-shirt size and sent that in to get that reserved. If anyone else is willing to work, and Cindy, they said to check with you if you're willing to work a corner. We particularly need corner people, just saying, go that way to every runner as they go by.
Sure, whatever's needed.
Okay, and we need a couple
What
other
time do
people.
those corner people have to be there?
Kathleen's probably been paying more attention than I think we're starting at 7 with the run, so before 7.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can't hear you, Kathleen. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I made
You're
a
muted.
useless comment that I try not to think about how early it is, so I block it out. Yeah, but early.
And I'll
Yeah,
send your email to Eric Karch. And Edmund, are you raising your hand to volunteer?
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Corner.
Great, thank you.
I want a t-shirt.
Definitely. I'll send your emails both to Eric Karch then.
Good.
So if the board wants to make a motion regarding the consent agenda.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call on this one though.
I'm going to start with Joan Greco-Cohen,
Yes, I accept the consent agenda.
Dorothy Davis,
I accept the consent agenda.
Aaron Ginsberg, accept the consent agenda. Edmund Acosta,
Yes.
Lynn Nelling,
Accept.
Cindy Zerwis.
Yes.
Great, we are good to go.
Okay, so that moves us to the discussion items. So Patrick, is this where you want to move Sue from Bond Architect up to the top of the list?
Sure, we can do that. We can just go right to the action items and put Sue first, and then double back to the discussion items if you'd like.
Because I know she needs to be somewhere.
She does,
So
yeah.
we're gonna jump around a little bit.
And so we would go to the in the action items, what's labeled construction documents, these are really schematic design documents. And we had just talked about this, almost all of us in the Building and Grounds committee meeting. So this would be phase 1 documents, the scope of work, including new doors, the sealing and repair of the exterior of the building, replacing most of the windows. The estimated cost sheet, it was included in your packet. That does not include the windows. Sue's going to get that for us. And Sue, do you want to explain as you did to the committee, what happens once we, if should the board approve this, and what are the next steps?
Sure. The next steps are to put the project out to contractors for pricing. At the same time we do that, we'll be applying for a building permit with University City. So while they're reviewing the permit, we'll be working with contractors. The contractors will return with their proposals and their qualifications on a date that we will announce. And then we will review those with you and the board and the committee to find the best of the bidders and negotiate a contract with them and award the work to get it started this summer. We anticipate the work taking about 3 months to complete. They would be working around the perimeter of the building on the outside to clean and seal the brick and stone and doing some repairs. There's some broken bricks and some stone that needs to be repaired. We will be replacing both sets of doors at the public entry and the door out of the fire stair that comes down from the teen area, and the doors from the fire stairs into the vestibule and the staff door that comes into the vestibule. Those will all be replaced. We are replacing all of the windows except a few. We have the tall, thin windows that happen in a few areas. We are not replacing those because the new window frame would basically leave almost no glass left, and they're small enough that they're not impacting our heating and cooling of the building. So
they would be basically arrow slits.
yes.
These are
Right.
the 42 12-inch wide windows, about half of which are in the boardroom. The others are upstairs in use services.
Yeah, and some here in the staff area. So
Oh, yeah,
that,
extending out into that.
yeah. So I owe Patrick an updated cost taking those out and making sure we have current pricing, because the last time we priced the windows was about a year ago. So we're working on getting updated pricing on that. So once the work is awarded, we will work with you to make sure that the work is completed in a timely manner. And the contractor will be billing you on a monthly basis. We will review all their pay applications and approving them if they are correct or having them revised if they are not. So the board will have to vote on paying each of the pay applications. There is a 10% of the cost of the project is held in reserve until we are sure the project is 100% done. So it's called retainage, so that they're incentivized to finish the work. Once we get the exterior work going, because this is the right time of year to do that, we will start back with the staff to restart the interior renovations of the project. So we make sure that where we were a year ago is still what we want to do. And then we will get those documents done, and those will be put out to bid. Are there any questions or any details from the facilities committee that you think would be relevant for the whole board to hear?
Cindy?
I have a question about green practices. We didn't talk about this in the subcommittee meeting, but I thought of it afterward. I just wondered if that was taken into consideration.
Yes, very much so. So the material we're using to clean the outside of the building is a neutral product, and it's safe for plants. So you have such lovely landscaping. We wanted to make sure that the cleaner wasn't so harsh that it would damage the plants. The new windows are thermal windows. That's part of why it's a good idea to replace them. So they'll be insulated glass, and they will meet current codes, which the current windows do not. And they'll be what's called thermally broken. So right now, the steel of the window goes from the outside and inside, and what that does is it draws the cooling out in the summer and the heating out in the wintertime. So there'll be a section of the window so that it's broken so that the conditioned air isn't transferring heat or cooling to the outside. So that should cause the system of the building to not have to work so hard to keep the building cool or warm.
Thank you.
And then when we get into the interior renovation, there really are so many great green products now that it's not even something special anymore. They all contain recycled content. The glue and the paint don't have VOCs. So I think we're in really good shape to have a very healthy building.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Regarding contractors, able to, and I'm quite sure I'm just asking it.
Dorothy, you're breaking up a bit. I'm so sorry.
Of their, can you hear me?
That's a little better,
Can
yeah.
you hear me, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding contractors, will we have full disclosure of the contractors? And if they decide to use subcontractors, would that also be part of the policies and procedures that you all are going to oversee, Sue?
Absolutely. So we have part of the submission that they will give to us is references and letters of recommendation. And if we notify them after the bids are turned in that they are the low bidder or the low 3 bidders that maybe we want to meet with or hear more from, we will ask them for a subcontractor list and what's called a schedule of values. So that breaks down how much of your price is for windows, how much is for brick cleaning, how much is for doors. So they will provide all that detail for us. They will be required to meet the state of Missouri's prevailing wage, which is essentially union labor. It's annually renegotiated wages that the workers will get. And they will be required to be licensed contractors in Missouri. So they'll have to provide all that information to us as part of their bid.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Anybody
questions?
have any other questions for Sue? There's a lot that I think Erin's probably going to present in when she does her report on the committee side. We did have a very good meeting with Sue prior to the board meeting, and I think other than Dorothy and Cindy at the library, everybody was already involved in that meeting. And I think we all feel fairly confident that Bond Architect has a fairly good grip on our process and what we need to do and the timing on it. Erin had said, or maybe it was Helen had said that, you know, maybe there's a kind of study session kind of thing on these documents that are going to come in. And I don't know how people feel about going out in public or meeting in the library, but I suppose if there wanted to be some kind of study session on this, if everybody wore masks, we could go into the library maybe and maybe meet in the board meeting room. I don't know how people feel about doing that these days, but I suppose that's an option that's available to us if people were comfortable with it.
I would be comfortable with it. I'm fully vaccinated. I know several of you are fully vaccinated, or
Yeah.
at least I know of some of you who are. And so I think that would be a good opportunity. I think it's difficult to do something like that in this arrangement.
I agree.
So I would certainly be willing to come in the library with folks.
And if the board wants, they can either appoint a special ad hoc committee for this or just assign it to the Building and Grounds Committee that's already in existence and have that just be a meeting, you know, under our normal operating
Let's
guidelines.
keep it as a Building and Grounds meeting and everybody's invited. And if somebody doesn't feel comfortable being in person with the whole group, the documents will be available at the library if someone wants to just come into the library solo and take a look at the documents on their own time.
By themselves, yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
And this-
And we've got the large format printer now, so we could probably make duplicates of some of the documents and get those around to people if someone wants to be in the meeting, but doesn't want to be here in the library.
But also, most of the work is outside. So we could do a walk around the building on the outside and point out most of the
Great
work.
idea.
And a study session would not necessarily be to evaluate all 16 or 20 proposals, but
Right.
but perhaps Bond could filter out the top 2, 3, 5.
Well, I think that we, at least some of us, should probably evaluate, take
As
a look
much
at
as we
all of them.
could, sure.
Yeah.
They're available for us, correct.
Well, I like Aaron's idea about keeping it within building and grounds because it keeps it within that committee. Moving forward, it would stay within that committee instead of having yet another subcommittee outside of that. So maybe we can put that kind of thing together, do what Sue suggested, do kind of a walk around to see exactly what we're talking about and find a way. It's a tough call for us. I don't know anything about construction. It would be okay for me to look at 16 different sets of documents, but I don't know that I know how to determine. That's a tough call for me.
If contract bid evaluation is a real discipline, and so we need to keep it simple.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
I
that
think I would like to rely on our
yes, I'm glad we have Sue as our advocate in this.
Okay, so maybe what we do then is when these documents are ready to go, between Sue and Patrick, there's some kind of communication and you let the board know what's going on and we pick a date, even if it's I can do a Saturday, but I can do, most of us, I don't want to volunteer anybody else, can maybe do during the week, depending on what time of the day it is. So that we can be at least semi-convenient for Sue. And then if we need a study session in the library on a weekend, then, maybe, building and grounds or whatever, we can throw something together to put a group of people together to.
So you're going to set a time, a date and a time whereby all bids are due.
Yes.
And then we'll do an unsealing of the bids then.
Yes, we can do a public opening of the bids. So the contractors usually like to attend, and the board and anyone would like to be there while we open them, and we'll read them out loud so that everybody can hear what they are. So it's very transparent. And then we'll put together a bid tabulation form, so a spreadsheet that shows you all the names of the contractors, the price, if there's any alternates or unit pricing or other kind of breakdowns of the price. We'll put all that out in one form, and then that becomes a public document.
And I'll be there, and then we'll invite one of the board members who wishes to attend on that as well.
Yes. And we should probably do that in your auditorium to give it enough space.
Oh, okay, that's a really good idea. Yeah.
Perfect.
Even though there's one sheet that shows the comparative evaluation of the various bidders, that the devil is in the details.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that would take a special session for the finalists anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it takes us about a day to go through all of the paperwork that's submitted, because there's more than just the price that they'll submit that we need to go through and make sure that it's complete, that everything's there, that their recommendations check out, that their insurance shows up, all of the provisions. We'll review that. So it's not official until the board votes on it.
Great.
Okay, so obviously this isn't your first rodeo. And And you worked on previous libraries before, but I kind of like the idea of the Building and Grounds Committee and anybody else that wants to attend as much as we can, you know, being part of. I mean, if it's ultimately our decision to vote on, I mean, if you come to us and say, here is Bond Architect's top 3, I don't know how you normally do, but say it's the top 3 recommendations out of the 16 you get, and here's why we recommend these top 3, then I think we can have a, you know, a study session where at least we take the time to look through it and say, okay, at least to a degree, we all understand what it is that we're agreeing to pay for. I mean, you know, so.
Concur.
No, I think the board, you know, if you guys can be there for every step of the way, that'd be great. If not, we'll, you know, I'll do my best to convey to you what we've learned. But we'll definitely keep you informed when, you know, the bids are coming in, when they're going to be unsealed, and what's happening when they're there. And we can do that, you know, as Sue said, in the auditorium, but we can also put that on Zoom for any board member who wants to be a part of it but can't attend.
Yes, and we can do the walk around the building at any time. Start, you know, tomorrow if you wanted to, and it should be done during daylight hours so you can really see the details of what we're talking about. So anytime you want to get that scheduled, just let me know, and we can do that. It would probably take 45 minutes, you know, depending on how much detail you want to hear, and then we could do something similar. If you wanted to on the inside of the building as we're getting the interior renovation restarted, that would be inside.
Excellent.
Or we could walk around and FaceTime as well with like this, but just mobile, if that helps.
Ellen, thank you. Thank you for your comment earlier.
You're welcome.
Well, you know, when I met with Patrick on our pre-board meeting last week, and I actually, we did that on Zoom, one of the things that comes through pretty regularly is that Patrick has a lot of help at the library, but it seems to me like a lot of things fall on him to provide the board with information. And I think if this is a big deal here, and Dorothy in particular worked very hard to get us the money we need to be able to do this improvement. So I think that if we as a board can be as informed, show up, do what we need to do, it will take maybe a little bit of pressure off of Patrick having to keep relaying information over to us. I say that knowing I work a full-time job and everybody else has things going on, but we'll do the best that we can to be, I think, as informed as possible. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but to me that seems like not only helpful, but important.
I agree. I would be in favor of the outside walk around, and I have a flexible schedule, and I'm in favor of the study session with the Buildings and Grounds Committee. I think that's essential.
Okay, everybody's shaking their head, so we're gonna go. So if you guys could keep,
We're in violent agreement.
Yeah. And then, and Sue, we'll get you some times for like the walk around. You don't have to, we don't have to get that done right this minute while you're.
That's
here.
right. No, absolutely. That's right. And give everybody a little bit of lead time, so that, you know, if I can attend, I'll do it. If Cindy Board can attend, you know, so that we can all try and be part of this. I think fiscally it's our responsibility. I think we all get that. I don't know that we have to be contractors to understand it, but I think we have to be able to at least get through the big picture.
Agreed.
Okay. So if you guys are good with that, Sue and Patrick, then I say that's at least for now, the direction that we go.
Okay.
And let's get this project going. I'm excited.
Good.
Let's get it rolling.
Great. Okay. Do we have any further questions for Sue before she has to get going? Okay.
Sue, thank you. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Sue.
All right. See you later.
Do you want
You're
to,
welcome.
does the board want to go right to the action item and make a motion, or do you want to put that back in the?
Oh, no,
normal
let's just let's just go do our action item while we're
Okay.
on this.
Yes.
So it'd be a motion to accept the schematic design documents from Bond Architects for moving forward with phase 1 of the renovation project.
So moved.
I would like.
Second,
Okay. Second in it. How about if I take a roll call vote? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joan Greco Cohen,
Yes, let's do it.
Dorothy Davis,
yes, let's do it.
Erin Ginsberg, I'm on board. Edmund Acosta.
Onward, yes.
Okay, Helen Nelling
Absolutely on.
and Cindy Zerwis.
Yes.
Great,
Excellent.
great.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna jump back then into the discussion items. And
Yes.
I'm gonna check off building issues unless there's something outside of this, Patrick, that you want added to our building issues.
Just, the work on the Trinity building should be nearing completion. I had an email back and forth with Sinan Alpazin at City Hall, head of Public Works. So they're willing to sort of accelerate the pace so we can get moving with using that for some storage. So we're hopeful about that. Yeah, and then we've talked to Bond Architect now, so that was the other item on there.
Okay. Okay, so our next discussion item is the building reopening.
Yes, we've begun. We put plexiglass out there at the reference desk. So we've got reference staff there during most hours right now. And as of May 17th, we'll have all our full-time staff in the building 5 days a week. So we'll have the reference desk staffed most hours then, or pretty much all hours that we normally do. On Saturday, May 22nd, we'll resume our normal 9 to 5 on Saturdays. We still been doing 1 to 5 currently. And then tomorrow we'll be having an all-staff meeting. We'll be discussing building capacity, our weekday hours, moving those back towards normal, having some seating in the library eventually, and even more eventually, maybe further down the road, resumption of other services such as meeting rooms. We don't have a real good idea when that's going to be something we'll be doing, but we'll be discussing that starting tomorrow. And we welcome the board's input on that.
Okay. So is
Counties.
some of this stuff dependent on what St. Louis County allows you to do?
Yeah, they've gone to sort of 100% occupancy for some businesses. We're waiting a little bit on some of the stuff till more of our staff is vaccinated, though we're getting close. And then, I think we're just sort of moving slowly into it. Once we allow seating, then we're going to have to probably drop the time limit because there's no moving some people once they've sat down. We're still relatively low attendance in that I don't feel a lot of people are rushing to get out into the library yet. But we'll see.
Is there also an issue though, if you open it up to seating in the library, is somebody on the library staff going to go have to clean that seat before somebody else sits down in it?
The CDC had revised their cleaning and disinfecting guidelines. It's no longer really considered an issue. We're trying to clean more than we used to. But, you know, I don't think that that's really something we'll have to worry about. You know, other than, you know, someone who's coughing or an obvious mess where we would clean it.
Patrick, I have a question. Have you had any patrons who've wanted to come into the library who refused to wear a mask?
You know, the last go round when we were open from June to November, that was a lot more of an issue than it has been this time. I think there's been a lot more acceptance of masks. You know, everyone's aware that we're under the mask mandate. There's still, of course, a lot of people who'll wear it under their nose or will pull it down, but they've at least got the mask on, and no one's really, you know, that being said, the state's attorney is now suing the St. Louis County about the mask mandate, among other things. So we'll see how that goes. You know, and I hope for our patrons' sake, that those who haven't been able to get vaccinated, that you know, we'll be able to keep enforcing the mask mandate for a while longer.
Follow the science.
Yeah.
Well, they can go up to, you know, the community center on, or whatever it's called, on Tuesdays and Thursdays and get
Yeah,
vaccines.
I think that
so-
ended. I think that ended now. Is that still going?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was just
yeah,
going
the
through
fire
the end of
department's
April.
still-
Great,
Yeah, the
great.
fire department, oh, well, Rick is, my husband Rick is volunteering through the end of May every Tuesday and Thursday. So
Okay.
I haven't heard that they're closing it. He said they were very busy yesterday.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good.
great.
People are still going in.
Yeah. We had a couple of younger staff members who were just sort of like, you know, bewildered by the process. Like, how do I go about finding someplace, you know?
Just walk in the
Yeah,
door.
yeah. So we were happy to be able to point them that way. Yeah.
Every Tuesday, Thursday, just walk in the door. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Not too bewildering. Okay, anybody else have any questions on reopening the building? Okay, so our next discussion item is the phone system, or whatever RFP means.
Yeah, we'll be sending out a request for proposals for a new phone system. You know, talking to Bill and to our current phone vendor, Tech Electronics, we'll probably be looking at something like a cloud-based voice over internet protocol VoIP system that so that when we move into a temporary location, we'll be able to use it there with something like 5 to 10 extensions. And then when we're moving back over here, we'll be able to, you know, bring the same numbers, bring everything over here. I'm assuming it's all magic, and then expand it out to the 24 extensions that we would need. But our current phone system is a bunch of connectors and wires on a piece of plywood in the basement. So that can't be moved. And the phones that we're using, you know, are long past the end of their expected life. So we'll be getting, you know, new phones, and, you know, the options are leasing the phones, and, you know, it would be a lease with the VoIP cloud-based thing. And I think that's kind of what we're at least going to have to start with, just because we're moving from one location and then back. We could purchase the phones, we could lease the phones. That'll be one of the considerations. So we feel pretty good about it. It'll be a similar sort of thing in miniature from the contractors. We'll get bids from a bunch of different people, and we'll just have to evaluate them on the same sort of template sort of system. And hopefully we'll have that at least ready to report back on June as to how that's going.
All right.
Any questions about the phone?
Anybody else have any questions on the phone? I think that's kind of one of those things that's up in the air until we can figure out what actually is going to happen between where you're currently working out of and the new place across the street. So
yeah,
we're going to move on to the action items. And the first one up is the lease on the temporary property.
And
okay.
This was something that we discussed in the Buildings and Grounds meeting, that the landlord for the property has accepted our attorney's suggestions So Helen had a lot of really good questions that she brought up, and Cindy is our liaison to the Methodist Church parking availability. And I guess we just need to vote on whether we accept the revised contract. So does anyone have any questions about the contract that was in the packet? So can I just do a roll call vote to see if we are
I think we
okay?
need a motion first, Patrick.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the revised lease for the 6900 Delmar Boulevard location as our temporary location during construction.
Second.
Great. I am going to do a roll call vote, starting with Joan Greco-Cohen,
Yes, accept it.
Dorothy Davis.
Yes.
I, Erin Ginsberg, accept. Edmund DaCosta,
Yes.
Helen Nelling,
Yes.
and Cindy Zerwith.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. The next action item is the updates to the personnel manual and the extension of the benefits.
As chair of the Personnel Policy Committee, I'd like to ask if everybody had a chance to look at that section of the packet and understands what those are, and understands that the financial implications involved assume that everybody would take all of their sick time, then, and et cetera. So the financial implications are a worst case scenario. But the Personnel and Policy Committee is on board with these changes, which make us more in line with other libraries. And I would tell you that large for-profit companies do offer these benefits, the benefits that are about part-time people. They do offer those benefits prorated to part-time people. And I think that the library has a lot of very valuable long-term part-time employees that we certainly don't want to lose. So.
Yeah, I think that was the, because I'm always the one that says, well, how much is this going to cost us? But I think that was, to me, the selling point. Bad term maybe, but I think that was the thing that convinced me, was that, we do have a lot of long-term employees, part-time, and I just don't think we want to lose those people. I feel I don't want to lose them.
There are statistics that show it costs 3 times annual salary to hire a new person and bring them up to speed. So retention is always better than recruiting.
And just 2 points that I don't think I made clear, and I apologize. On section 4.1 sick leave, we had up to a maximum of XX days in there. And my thought was it would be, since we're talking about particularly about half-time people, it would be about, you'd be able to accrue up to 45 full-time equivalent days, which would be about half the time that a full-time person can accrue.
Thank you.
And then also that all of these benefits would take effect with the start of the new fiscal year.
Okay.
In talking to Tiffany about getting these into New World so that it automatically accrues, and Stephanie and Cindy doesn't have to do a yet another spreadsheet of keeping track of things.
We want
Thumbs up
that.
from Cindy, so I say that we're good to go then.
So when is the fiscal year starting?
July 1st.
Thank you.
So do we need a motion made to accept the updates and?
Yes, I've got it separated into 3 motions in case the board wanted to do that way, though you of course could probably make a motion to accept all 3 if you chose.
Mhm. Move to
This is
accept
section
all 3.
2.5.
I second Edmund's motion to accept all 3.
Okay. Aaron, do your thing and let's do a roll call.
All right, starting with Joan Greco Cohen,
Yeah, let's accept all 3.
Dorothy Davis,
Yes.
Aaron Ginsberg, I say aye. Edmund DaCosta,
All 3.
Helen Nelling,
Aye.
and Cindy Zerwis.
Yes.
Thank you. And
Okay,
I am sure that the part-time staff would be very grateful. So thank you on their behalf.
Okay. So now is the time that we have to do the election of the new board officers.
Unless
we do what Helen suggests and there's a
and Joan, never mind. I'm sorry.
Nope,
But
go ahead.
No, I was in error. I was going to say something that was incorrect. So
Really?
yeah, I thought we had not done the construction documents. Then I looked down and saw my big check mark by it. So
Okay, so before we move on to election officers, Patrick and Library Cindy, do we have everything we need on the action items and the discussion items so that we can move forward with all of that stuff?
I believe so. We've got the lease, the schematic design documents, and all 3 of the benefits changes. Is that correct, Cindy, Kathleen? Anything
Yes.
else that we needed there? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with the election of the new board officers, Cindy Zerwis has agreed to take over as secretary. That's correct, right? Okay. And Aaron, you and I had a conversation via email, and I know that you had a conversation with Gerald that you would consider either taking over as treasurer or taking over as VP. Did you decide which way you wanted to go?
whatever nobody else wants to do, I will gladly do.
Well, okay, so I also had an email conversation with Gerald, who obviously can't be treasurer, but has offered to be VP.
Great.
So if
like to
you would go, if
treasurer, we
you
can-
would take over as treasurer, so if you would take over as treasurer, then Gerald could take over as VP. And that would just leave us with president. And I'm gonna say that Helen is going to step up and do that for us.
Well, no one else, if someone else wants to do it, I would step back. Okay, but I would be very pleased to serve if I'm acceptable.
I'll be right behind you,
Of
pushing you.
course.
Yes,
Okay, thank you, Edmund.
we've got your back.
I think you would
Thank
be
you, Helen.
great at it. And I have no doubt that, Gerald, if needed, could step in on any meeting that you were unable to attend, which would be his role if we put him in as VP. So how easy was this? So
Bravo.
we have our new president is going to be Helen.
Well, I think you'd have to, by the board bylaws, go ahead and present the slate and then vote on it.
Okay, all right. So I present Helen as our new board president, Gerald as our new VP, Aaron is going to be our treasurer, and Cindy is going to be our new secretary. So that's what I present. If we can do a motion and a vote, do we have to vote on it, Patrick?
You definitely have
Or
to
is it-
vote, and then I think you would traditionally let another, if anyone had an idea for a different slate.
Okay, so this is what I present. Does anybody want to present a different slate?
There you go.
Okay, let's vote on it and, or let's do a motion and then vote on these.
I move to accept the slate.
Okay,
We'd like to second that. And
okay, let's do a vote.
I'm going to take a roll call vote. Joan Greco Cohen,
As much as it pains me to step aside, I'll say yes.
wonderful. Dorothy Davis,
Yes.
Erin Ginsberg, I think that's a wonderful idea. Edmund Acosta,
Yes, great slate.
Helen Nelling,
Yes.
wonderful. Cindy Zerwis.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's official now.
Excellent.
Well, I just like to
Okay.
say, you know, that just like Edmund, you know, got us into heading towards the ballot issue, and Dorothy got us through the big ballot issue. Joan's been just great to work with, you know, getting us towards the construction project, and then with the interruption with the pandemic, and the board's been so flexible and supportive for all the library's been doing. So thank you, Joan, and you know, and thank you, Dorothy and Edmund, for your leadership in the past too.
Thanks.
It's been great.
And I want to say, and it sort of rolls into my president's report, I went down and met with Patrick yesterday, and we went over his review that the board had put together in the previous week. And, you know, this was not an easy year and a half, or whatever time it turns out to be, to try and run this library through a pandemic. Obviously, we've never lived through anything like this before. But I personally want to thank Kathleen and Cindy at the library, because they kept me on track, you know, with this whole Robert's rule of whatever, that I couldn't remember whether we needed a vote or didn't need a vote. And the support that they give Patrick is phenomenal. And so I will miss being president. Not to say that I won't do it again before I roll off the board, but I wanted to thank both Cindy and Kathleen for all of their hard work. They do an awful lot for that library, and they don't always get a lot of the recognition for the things that they do. And Dorothy, I want to thank personally, because I didn't know anything about being on a board and before I joined the library board. And I found her, Dorothy, I found you incredibly helpful and kind and fair and just a great mentor for me to be able to move into this role. And I think it was because I followed behind you as president that made it so much easier for me to take over this path. So I think Helen's going to do a great job, and I'll give her any help she needs in taking over.
I know you will. I know you will. You've done a great job.
Thanks.
And
I
I've got a great
appreciate
group of officers.
I appreciate it. So then we're going to move on to the committee reports, I guess. I don't think we have anything for long-range planning. Edmund, do we have anything
Correct.
for that?
You're correct.
Okay. Personnel and policy, Helen, we already did the piece for the updates. Do you have anything else other than that?
No, I do not.
Okay. Erin, was there anything else in, oh, wait, no, back up. Budget and finance is Gerald, so we know we don't have anything that goes on that because he's not here.
We don't have anything to report on that, but I did talk to Gerald or email back and forth, and we'd like to convene a budget and finance meeting in advance of when we have to do the final budget for June. If we can do that either next Wednesday or the Wednesday after, so the 19th or the 26th. At the regular board meeting time, we thought everyone could meet then.
So the 19th or the 26th at 5:15?
Yes.
Patrick, if possible, could we do the 26th? I'm out of town on the 19th.
Okay, that's fine with me.
All right. So I'll pencil in the 26th at 5:15 for budget and finance.
Okay, and we'll have the, what should be the final budget for 2021, 2022.
And who is on that committee? Hang on one second. Latrice, Dorothy, and Edmund are on budget and finance.
Does that work for you, Dorothy?
Let's see, what date is the 26th?
It'll be 2 weeks from today.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, yes, I'm good. Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
At 5:15. Okay.
And
The
admin, that works for
26th
you?
is-
26th of May. Yes.
Okay,
What
great.
time? What time?
5:15?
5:15?
5:15. Very good.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So that covers what we need for budget and finance. And Aaron, was there anything else in building and grounds from the previous meeting that we had that you want to go over?
Sue really covered everything very thoroughly.
She did.
I'm excited that we're going to get a brand new HVAC system for the library that's going to be on the roof, so that allows us to gain interior space in the building without changing the shell of the building. And if anyone wants to take a much closer look at the documents, they are in the library in large format. So,
Yeah.
Cindy, you had something?
I have a question. Excuse my ignorance, but when libraries move to temporary quarters, how do they do that? Do you hire special companies to do it? Or I've been thinking about it and it makes my head hurt.
Yeah, so,
Ask Patrick the same thing.
one of the benefits of having this, we'll be able to move slowly. So I imagine we will be hiring some people to move some of the stuff, but we're going to ask a lot of Dallas and Steve in the coming months, just slowly moving us over there. Kathleen's already got some of the shelves cleared. We've moved some of the stuff down into the basement. And then what we'll do is we'll move some shelves over, once we can get in there, and just sort of go along like that a little bit at a time. And, we're really waiting for the Trinity building, but I imagine we will be hiring, if not a moving company, at least some temporary workers from somewhere like Manpower or something like that to help us with that. But I definitely think we'll have a moving company in there somewhere.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
It seems
of
like
stuff to
a monumental task.
Yeah.
And then you have to do it again
Yeah.
7 or 8 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems kind of daunting to me, because when I met with Patrick, I asked him the exact same question. They'll move some empty shelves. I'm like, well, you still have to put the books back in order,
Mhm.
right? You can't
Mhm.
just throw them up there. So
Yeah.
it was,
Find that book.
Yeah.
And you have to label all your boxes carefully and
Yeah.
keep track of it. And it just sounds like a big task.
Yeah,
It does.
my predecessor liked to tell the story of how when they replaced the carpet in '86, somewhere along the line, someone who was tasked with it took the books off the shelf, put it down. The next one's, and then it ended up backwards on the shelf. So
We thought the pandemic was tough.
yeah, I know we're going. We're sort of stretching this out for not full library services for the community, which is unfortunate.
I think people will understand.
Yeah.
I think people.
And I think a lot of good points in the building and grounds meeting about, getting the word out to the community. And we'll start focusing on that now that we've got some definite timelines in mind, which is great.
Right. And even just posting on social media,
Yeah.
simple, not just the library's website, but
Yeah.
a few. stop rumors before they start.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some out there. You know, we'll have to deal with the one about the financing. You know, we've talked to our lawyers and the city's lawyers, and we'll deal with those as they come up.
Right.
Or, you know, we'll get out ahead of it once we have some documents in place.
Yep.
Anyway, good luck with the moving.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's the word I would have thought of.
Yeah. Well, you know, speaking of the HVAC system and replacing it, the cooling tower, we were told at the end of last cooling season, will not last this season. So we'll see how far we can get with that.
We're motivated to get out of
cool
here.
summer.
Yeah, we've got, besides the doors failing, the HVAC's failing, the toilets are always failing. So
The universe is sending signs.
yeah. No, I think I'm glad we're rolling now.
Yes.
Yeah.
These have
Hopefully it
been
will just
two.
all kind of come together.
These have been 2 wonderful hours, very productive hours.
Oh,
Wow.
it has been 2 hours,
Very.
you're right.
I agree. Very productive hours. Okay. Is there any old business? Nope. Any new business? We are adjourned.
Thank you all so much. This was great.
Well done.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Well done. Great
Okay.
Thank
meeting.
you again, Joan.
Yep, no problem. Helen and
Thank you.
Patrick, we will be in touch so that Helen, we can meet with Patrick beforehand, transition over, do whatever we need
Yeah.
to do.
That'd be great.
Cindy at the library, I'm sorry, I always mean to ask you, do you have everything you need?
Did we actually need a motion to end the meeting?
Yes,
Patrick?
sorry.
I
Yes,
I'm in
move that
enough
we end
different,
the
I think,
meeting.
I'm sorry?
I said, I move that we end the
Okay.
meeting.
Second.
There you go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, I'll look it up again. I know I'm in one, Cindy's, oh no, you just moved
Oh.
over. One meeting where they insist that just the president saying we're adjourned is enough. Another saying that just a motion and a second to adjourn is enough. And a third group where they do the whole thing, they vote.
Well,
Democracy.
we had been doing
Democracy is messy.
the motion.
Yeah.
So now we're consistent.
I looked it up in Robert, when this came up before, I looked it up in Roberts, but since I no longer have a memory, I don't remember.
Well, and I don't either, which is why I rely on Cindy. She's my memory. So between now and when Helen takes
Oops, and we're
over,
adjourned,
if
so-
it